I ran for county council in 2006 and was elected. And it was one of those things where you go to meetings and you make your case and then you're basically ignored and you realize that, you know, it's important who's sitting in those chairs. And I felt I could do my part for the community. I majored in political science in college at Denison University and never really used it. I came home and went into the construction business. So I'd had some political background. Worked at Capitol Hill as an intern and stuff like that. I even worked at one point when I was over in England in Parliament. And so I'd had a lot of political, just because of my major in college, but I hadn't really used it. So I got into politics that way. It's a serious issue because right now we spend 51% of our county resources on the schools. And the state, because of our wealth formula, gives us very little. I think in all, our burden is about 77% of the total monies to the school comes from the county. So it's a big ticket. You know, I think we spend about $34 million per year on the school system. And in Annapolis, the teachers' unions are very strong in the Democratic government in Annapolis, and they've created this maintenance of effort bill that they passed, which puts counties like ours on an automatic escalator so that every year, whether we have the revenue or not, we have to increase spending by 2.5% per year. And on $34 million compounding year to year, that's a lot of money. And there's going to be a point at which we have to decide, all right, how are we going to pay that additional money every year? Is it going to be by raising taxes, or is it going to be by cutting the other half of government to pay for it? And having lived through a very difficult economy the last many years, the last 5 years, we've had to cut county government. And there's a point at which you start cutting into essential services. So you have to really look at what are you going to do to make up that revenue. I think when that starts clicking every year, we better have a robust economy happening. Because if we're still in sort of stagnation mode from a national perspective, you know, real estate values down, refinancing's down, all the things that used to drive people to do more things with their houses and stuff, a lot of that is slowed way down, and the market is the market. So if we don't have increased revenue, we're going to have to make some pretty hard choices to fund those schools. And that's why right now we're being very cautious on what we give the schools, because we know that at some point it's out of our hands. And when you take 51% of your budget and put it on autopilot and increases every year, that's down the road, that's major money. Yeah. And I think we've been successful in weathering the storm. We've kept our rainy day fund intact, which is about $10 million unspent for any emergency that we may have, a hurricane or some truly rainy day type event. We've put $9 million away for the future retirement benefits of our county employees. And that obligation is $14 million total. We've put $9 million away in a very difficult amount of time, which is pretty good. We still have a $50 million obligation to the school side of the OPEB benefits, and we haven't put any money away for that yet. But over time, I think if we put a few $1 million away every year, we might be able to make a dent in those obligations. And that's something that some other counties haven't done, which we've been able to do even through a difficult economy. A lot of what it is now is preservation of jobs. It's working with the employers that are here already and seeing what we can do to help them. You know, we have lots of drivers that we've been working on. One is the hospital, which is 2,000 jobs. One is the airport, which is a substantial number of jobs. Not a lot of county jobs necessarily, but a lot of businesses that locate at the airport. And so we have to keep the airport self-sustaining so it's not a burden on the taxpayer. and we've got to keep the hospital here. We did a lot of work to try to put together some land for the location of the new hospital site. And we did that to keep it in Easton because that's where the infrastructure is, and to keep those jobs in this community, keep those doctors here who do so much to support the local economy. Yeah, well, I worry about a couple of things that really affect us. One is the degradation of the bay. I'm very much of an environmental Republican, and I think many people in this community who might be in the same party that I'm in believe the same thing I do. We want a healthy bay, and so there are issues regarding the use of farmland, the use of residential fertilizers and things. There's the whole TMDL, total maximum daily load, which is the pollution diet that we have. The critical area laws that are on the books from the state of Maryland that we have to comply with and create our own local program. All of these things relate to, in some ways, the health of the bay and the importance of keeping the estuary as a productive piece of our economy. You know, the resource-based economy, the farmers, the watermen, people who live off the bay, and really tourism lives off the bay here. And so all of these are economic engines for the county, and they all need, you have to balance certain interests to make sure that we're improving the bay so that it's getting healthier and yet allowing for, economic growth. I'd like to see Talbot County keep 100,000 acres of farmland for the next 50 years. So anything that relates to preserving farmland, I'm very interested in. Now, oddly enough, the farmers don't necessarily agree with that approach because it's their land and they don't want any changes. But farming as an enterprise needs protection. Otherwise, you see it in so many other areas. It just goes away under suburban sprawl, and I would hate to see that here. It's just, we don't need that here. If we channel the growth into the towns and keep them from acquiring huge tracts of land outside of their borders, we can grow without eating up farmland. I see both sides of the regulations, and I deal with clients every day who are in that situation. And my only problem is, as a builder, I can't go into the planning and zoning office and start firing people because it's a conflict of interest. And I would say that the rules and regulations that those people are operating under mostly are coming from the state. The health department is a state organization. And the state of Maryland puts down the critical area laws, and we have to abide by them. So as a builder, I have a hard time changing the way in which we approve building permits and that kind of thing. Others on the council have a much easier role, and we are trying to do that. That being said, we have to have a county manager who will put that on his radar, figure out what has to be done, work with the staff that we have, maybe bring in others, or let go some if we're having issues, which I don't know that we are or we aren't, but it's important that we keep in mind the needs of the public and we accommodate an orderly process when it comes time to do building permits. The council I've worked with Corey and Laura I think we've had, and Andy Hollis and Tom Duncan, it's been through some difficult times, but we've worked together as a team in a very collegial manner. And I would hope that the next council has the same kind of personality. And I would be, even though the economics of Talbot County is hurting in general, it's a national issue. We will do everything we can to keep Talbot County efficiently run. But the market is the market. And so I would be very wary of candidates who say that it's the regulatory environment that's killing growth, killing things in Talbot County. I don't believe that. Every other county has had the same drop in the number of building permits that we have. It's a national economic disaster. But at the same time, I'm very optimistic about Talbot County and why people want to come here and the future of Talbot County. So with all of that, we're doing a heck of a lot better than most other places. So, and the reason is because people want